Hi, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to join. We'll probably get started here in about a couple of minutes. Again, for those of you that are on and are joined, we'll wait for another couple of minutes for a few more people to join on before we get started. Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll probably go ahead and get started. My name is Ryan Lipschitz. I'm the VP of Engineering of Virtual Graffiti. Most of you might know us. We're a large IT reseller in the US market. We're a national reseller, predominantly focused in small to medium-sized businesses. Wanted to welcome our friends from Aruba on the call. We expect this to be a really excellent webinar. Really excited about the products that Jason is going to present. And I think everyone on this call should be able to benefit from it. So with that, Jason, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much, and definitely glad to be here with you guys, and everybody that's listening on the call. Thank you for taking your time out of your day. I know that everybody is getting webinars thrown at them left and right, and I highly am thankful for you choosing this one to listen to. And just like Ryan said, we're going to be going over, really a product design specifically for small business, as well as good opportunities in the home space as well. With a lot of businesses now, with everybody working from home, right? It's definitely changed the mindset, and we're more aware of, our home environments really not being to where we want them to be, because maybe back when you put that Wi-Fi router in, it was good for the time you were there, but now since we're all in our homes, it's definitely needing something more than what you initially had. So really excited to talk to you about the product line. Today we're going to be going over really what the overview of Instant On actually looks like, and some of our differentiators, the advanced features. We're going to be going over the full end-to-end solution, and then I'm going to have some takeaways as far as why you would want to choose Instant On. And then I'm going to wrap everything up with a demo. So before we get started, I do want to give you guys a brief introduction of Aruba as a company, in case you're not familiar with us and you've never heard of Aruba. Aruba predominantly has been a large player in the enterprise enterprise space for wireless networking and wired networking, as well as networking security. We have SD-WAN functionality within our portfolio as well. And we've done very well in that space. In fact, Gartner has recognized us as a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant now for 14 years in a row. And we were founded back in 2002, and from a Wi-Fi perspective, that probably was the best time to get into the Wi-Fi industry, because if you think about when Wi-Fi got adopted heavily is right around that same time frame. You know, really the first laptop that really ever shipped with Wi-Fi built into it was the Apple iBook in 1999, and just shortly 2 or 3 years after that, Aruba came into the market space from a wireless perspective. And we've grown exponentially since then. In 2015, we actually were brought under the umbrella of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and we've continued to grow since then. But what I'm excited to talk to you guys about today is our portfolio specifically designed for small business. And really the benefit of Aruba, having the engineering prowess of the past 17, 18 years in the enterprise space, is that we've really come face to face with every single wireless problem that you could potentially think of, whether it's bad coverage or slow speed, bad user experience, security, you name it. We've literally been face to face with all those problems and done our best to try to figure out solutions to those problems that really do make sense for our customers. And the benefit of all of that engineering is now we've designed a product with great, robust features in the small business segment, and we're going to go over some of that. But what I would say is regardless of all the features that I'm going to talk to you guys about today, ultimately what matters is that our product is reliable, right? And I know that for people that are listening on the call, if you've ever had an experience with a consumer-based router, you potentially have to reboot that thing every single night or every single day in order for it to maintain its, a good user experience. And we don't really believe in that at Aruba, where you have to reboot our hardware in order to have a network stay up and running. We want to make sure that it's up and running and you can rely on it day in and day out. So let's go over some of our differentiators, because this is what's going to separate us from the rest of the pack, because there's a lot of access points on the market. There's a lot of switches on the market, and really, why would you choose Aruba over XYZ vendor that we're competing with? And number one is absolutely in simplicity. And you guys will see this during my demo today when I set up an access point, because really the simplicity of setting up a network and getting the network up and running as quickly as possible, not only one, it alleviates the amount of time you're there at a certain customer site or at your personal site that you're dealing with it, but allows you to experience the Wi-Fi quicker, which is ultimately where we want to get you from unboxing to getting the network up and running as quickly as possible. In fact, all of our access points include a built-in Bluetooth radio that will help us get these devices up and running with our phones that also have built-in Bluetooth radios. We can connect the two together and configure these devices over the air, and we don't have to worry about things like IP addresses or DHCP servers. And none of that matters because we can configure utilizing simple terminologies all within the application on our phone to the access point over Bluetooth. And we've actually designed that same solution around our mesh deployments as well, which I'm going to get into in just a little bit. But mesh is definitely a huge area when we're dealing with home environments and small businesses where literally cable costs more than adding the infrastructure itself. Now, I've already mentioned the application and that we offer simple setup within that application, but we also offer a web portal as well that you can access through a desktop computer. And they're feature parity, so you don't have to worry about losing features by going with the mobile app versus the desktop app. They support the same features, so you don't have a limited experience. In fact, not only do you have the same experience, but from a application perspective, whether that's the phone or the desktop portal, we support up to 150 sites of cloud management. So you can manage up to 150 different locations within Instant On, which is pretty awesome. We have great built-in security. Often security from a network perspective gets overlooked. We definitely want to feel secure in our homes. We want to make sure the items in our home are protected and our family is protected and everything in our car is protected. That is easy to talk about because we can all relate to that. But networking security gets overlooked, one, because it's complex, right? It's difficult to set up properly. You have to be somewhat of an IT engineer in order to get them up and running. And since it is complex, generally people tend to take the path of least resistance, which comes down to a password written on a chalkboard. And a password written on a chalkboard doesn't really offer great security. It's almost like a white picket fence around your house. Yeah, it keeps the honest people honest, but if somebody wanted to get over that white picket fence, well, they could hop right over it. And if everybody knows your wireless networking password, then anybody can get onto your network. And beyond that, generally in those situations, you have employees and guests also sharing the same wireless network, which means from a network perspective, all of those devices can be seen. And if someone wanted to be malicious on the network, they could, because they have network access to all the devices that are connected. And that's not a good scenario. So we've implemented proper security policies. In fact, if you want to create a guest network with Instant On, all you have to do is select the guest network button, and automatically the access point will create a whole nother network that is completely separated from the employee network that you've already created. We'll provide proper firewall policies, having the ability of also content category filtering, so you can block certain types of traffic, as well as enable what we call client isolation, meaning that even guests that are on that guest network will not be able to see each other from a networking perspective. So great security, all with the simple tap of a single button that allows you to have proper security policy deployed. So the path of least resistance is the proper security, not the password written on a chalkboard. Now we have great support, and really this is a huge differentiator, especially in the small business space where you might be at a certain customer site trying to deploy Instant On and you need to get a question answered or you're running into an issue. You can pick up the phone and speak to somebody at Aruba in order to get your issue resolved or your questions answered. And you get 90 days of phone support with all Instant On hardware. Our access points have a 1-year hardware warranty. We also have an Instant On community that you can leverage in tandem with the 90 days of phone support. Our switches actually have a limited lifetime warranty. So you have additional options to also extend the coverage if you want to. That includes things like next business day replacement and extended phone support as well if you're interested. But having the 90 days of phone support out of the box really does help you get these devices up and running, especially if you're not predominantly a networking practice and this is somewhat new to you. So having the ability of talking to someone at Aruba is absolutely huge. Now, I've mentioned that Instant On is cloud managed, and there are lots of benefits of being able to cloud manage Instant On. You can access your network configuration and management from anywhere in the world, and that's absolutely huge in an environment that we're in right now. But usually when we talk about cloud, we talk about the fees associated with it, right? And people don't like paying those monthly subscriptions as much as, when it sounded like a good idea a few years ago. Well, with Instant On, there's absolutely no fees at all associated with it. So all of the features, all of the cloud management up to 150 sites, no licensing whatsoever. So when you purchase the hardware itself, that includes the ability to cloud manage the hardware, as well as new features introduced into the platform for the lifetime of that product, which is absolutely a huge differentiator as well. And then last but not least, I've already touched base on this, but now over 18 years of wireless experience, wired experience, we understand what makes a good network tick. And we want to make sure that the products that we deliver are products that you can rely on, especially if you're utilizing these products to run your business. Absolutely huge. And we want to make sure that we fill that void for you. Now, here's the Instant On lineup as it looks like today from a wireless perspective. We have 4 indoor access points. We have a hospitality access point or a desktop access point, and then 1 outdoor access point. Now, all of these access points, with the exception of the AP22, which I'll get into just a little bit, are Wi-Fi 5 or 802.11 AC Wave 2 capable. And really the idea here is you're going to choose the right tool for the job, and you have the option of choosing the best access point for the room that it's going to be going into. So for example, the AP11 is a great access point for general connectivity where you just need devices to get connected to Wi-Fi, have reliable performance, but you wouldn't necessarily put it in a dense environment with lots of clients. And that's where like an access point like the AP15 would be better suited. And really the idea here is the more spatial streams that we have with the AP15 being 4x4 essentially allows us to have more lanes on our wireless highway, if you will, right? So if you're going down the highway, the more lanes that you have available to you, the more traffic you can send down that highway. So the AP15 is a 4x4, so essentially 4 lanes of traffic all the way down to the AP11, which is a 2x2 with 2 lanes of traffic. Now we have the AP22, which is our first Wi-Fi 6 access point. So not only is it the first Wi-Fi 6 access point that we're offering, it's It's also the first Wi-Fi 6 access point in the small business segment, and it's also certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance, which is absolutely huge when we're dealing with a brand new technology. It means that Aruba has sent our hardware and done our due diligence to ensure that the Wi-Fi that we're producing is tested to make sure that it meets the standard appropriately. It absolutely boggles my mind how many vendors release Wi-Fi 6 access points, or even any version of Wi-Fi that don't go through certification. And the biggest reason why is because it costs money, right? It takes time to do those things. But since we're able to leverage our enterprise engineering, we're able to put that same technology within our SMB line and get the certification around our new access points. And Wi-Fi 6 really is catered towards devices that not only support Wi-Fi 6, but in deployments where you're going to be handling a lot of devices, right? So Wi-Fi 6 is specifically designed to be more efficient with our radio spectrum to handle more devices, because we have so many devices coming onto the network today. Now, the AP11D access point is designed to either be wall mounted or desktop mounted, and it can be wall mounted to a single gang box, and it's best suited for environments like hotel rooms or doctor's offices. And really the idea here is you're going to be placing this in every single room, hotel room or your patient room, so that way you can get great connectivity. A lot of the times when you walk into a hotel, you might see an access point mounted on the ceiling in a hallway. And the problem with having an access point in the hallway is by the time the signal actually gets into your room, it's extremely degraded. When you think about it, you walk down the hallway, you go into your room, you walk through the door, and generally the first room inside that hotel room is the bathroom. And in order to get into the actual living area, the signal's gonna have to travel through that initial wall in the hallway. And you're gonna have things like, the bathtub and tile and plumbing and electrical. Then it's gonna have to pass through another wall before it actually gets into the living space. And by the time you get the signal to your device, the user experience is so degraded that you're sitting there waiting for a page to load and you're not having a good time. And having an AP11D like this in the actual hotel room, a lot of partners will install it behind the TV or where the phone hookup is, since we have a pass-through connection to a phone, will allow you to get the signal and the coverage better inside that room for a better guest experience. And then last but not least, we have the AP17. And the AP17 is our outdoor access point. It's IP55 rated, meaning that it is actually built with certification to be used outside. It comes with weather seal connectors. It comes with a wall mount. In fact, all of our access points include the appropriate wall mounting hardware or ceiling mounting hardware or desk mounting hardware, right? So the ceiling or the indoor access points include the ceiling mounts, the desktop and hospitality AP, the AP11D includes the wall and the desktop mount, and the AP17 includes the wall mount as well. And the AP17 really has a huge need today when we're dealing with businesses that are transitioning to outdoor seating areas, curbside pickup, or if you just want to get great Wi-Fi connectivity when you're throwing a barbecue for your family outside. Great opportunities around the AP17. Now you can mix and match any of these together in a deployment. You can even mesh any of these together as well, which I'll get into in just a little bit. But really the ability here is to get the right tool for the job in the area that it's going into. Now our switches really do provide the same level of management, cloud management, that our APs do. We had a lot of customers looking for wired cloud management of their devices, and we've introduced the brand new 1930 switch line, which includes 8-port, 24-port, and 48-port models. We can choose options with power over Ethernet or without power over Ethernet. And if you choose a model with PoE, all of the ports include PoE. So there's no situation where only half the ports have it and the other half don't. If you purchase a model with PoE, they all support PoE. Now we also include SFP uplinks. The 8-port model includes 2 SFP uplinks, and then the 24 and 48-port model include 4 SFP plus uplinks. And the benefit of SFP is it allows you to extend your network through means like fiber, different media conversions that can be utilized, but you can also aggregate these connections together. SFP supports up to 1 gig, but SFP Plus does 10 gig. So if you need to put multiple connections together to get higher throughput on your wired network, you have the ability of doing that with our 1930 switches. We have the same idea from a cloud management perspective. They're easy to get added onto the network and up and running in the matter of minutes. And again, 90 days of phone support within these 1930 switches, as well as a limited lifetime warranty specifically with this hardware. Now let's go over some of the advanced features before we dive into the demo. So one big advanced feature that we can do is application controls. We have the ability to utilize our deep packet inspection engine that's built into all of our access points, meaning we can look at all the packets going across the wireless network and determine what those packets are destined for. So things like YouTube and ESPN and Facebook are all visible within the Instant On application. And because we have that visibility, we can block categories of traffic on a per wireless network basis, meaning if I want to block social media on my kids network or my guest network, I have the ability of doing that specifically for just that network, but leaving everything wide open on another network like my employee network or the adult network in this example. We offer about 18 different content categories to choose from. Again, no licensing needed for that. It's built into Instant On. We also have automatic prioritization for voice and video on wired and wireless traffic. So things like a Zoom call or Skype for Business can be analyzed and determine that it does need to have a priority over things like YouTube and Netflix. So that way, if you do have a situation where you are working from home and you have family members that are utilizing the network and they start that YouTube stream or that 4K Netflix stream, it won't lower your call quality because you will have the priority. Now, we can also utilize things like rate limiting, and we have the ability of doing that on a per wireless network basis. So if you do create a special network just for your children, you can limit their overall throughput. So you can say this, any device that connects to the kids network only gets 5 megabits of total throughput. So if you're paying for 100 megabits from your ISP, that way your kids can only consume 5 or 10 or whatever you set it to in order to ensure that your experience is as good as possible. We can do that from a guest perspective too, right? So if you want to have a guest network in your small business, then you only have to worry about the guest only consuming 5 or 10 or whatever you set it to. So that way one guest can't consume your whole entire network. Now, we also have great security built into Instant On. I've already talked about the ability of creating that guest network, which really enhances the overall security for a deployment, but we've also implemented WPA3, which is the latest security or wireless security encryption standard. WPA3 is actually Aruba invented, and it has been certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance. It's an IEEE standard. It has an RFC associated, and all that means is that it's open, right? So anybody can actually utilize WPA3, but it started with Aruba. In fact, all of our access points support WPA3, including our brand new AP22, but it allows your network to be more secure. It's not susceptible to what we call dictionary attacks, meaning that someone can't keep guessing the passphrase in order to decrypt your wireless signal and then decrypt everybody else's wireless signal that's connected. So it offers a greater need, or it offers the benefit of a greater security for your wireless networks. And then we also have the ability of blocking your clients if they're being malicious or they're taking advantage, especially in a small business scenario. If you have someone that's coming into your coffee shop and they're never buying any coffee or pastries and they're just sitting there for the free Wi-Fi, you can block their device so they can't connect anymore. And the last advanced feature that I want to talk about is our enterprise grade RF, and especially in environments where you don't have control over the things around you. What absolutely amazes me every time I connect to a wireless network is that something is communicating from my phone or my laptop without any cabling in between to get onto the internet. And the benefit of that is I have the mobility. The downside is that I have things that are in the air that I physically can't see that affect my connection. Unlike a device like a wired computer where I have a computer and I control the network interface card and I have a cable and I control the switch it's connected to, all of those points where I can control everything so I can have a expectation of what kind of speed I'm going to be getting. When it comes to wireless, you have absolutely no control of what's in the air. So the benefit of having our enterprise engineering inside of this hardware is we're able to dynamically change the channel and the power settings, which ultimately provides a better user experience based off of where that device is physically located in that deployment, whether it be a home or whether it be a small business. And ideally, if you have proper power and channel settings, not only do you get a better user experience once you're connected, but as you move between access points, the overlap is there just enough to ensure that when you go from one access point to another, your roaming experience is seamless. And overall today, Instant On provides lots of end-to-end solution functionality. We have a single pane of glass experience for our access points as well as our wired switches to ensure that you can manage all of these devices from anywhere in the world. And really to have the ability of managing those firmware updates so they happen automatically. In fact, one of the largest security vulnerabilities today is the fact that firmware is not managed appropriately, and we're able to schedule those to happen automatically for you so you don't have to worry about it. From a configuration perspective, and you'll see this during my demo here in just a moment, that when you are setting up a device, you can choose what you're setting up, and we'll only show the appropriate settings for you. So that way, you don't have to worry about selecting something that doesn't apply. It really helps mitigate any kind of human error during the setup and configuration process. And having all of the inventory from a site perspective, making sure that you're able to see everything, whether your site is up or down. Again, we can manage up to 150 sites within Instant On, so you have a list of all your sites and whether or not they're working like they're supposed to be. And then remote management, having the ability of doing this anywhere in the world. So for some scalability numbers, really, so Instant On, again, 150 sites within the application, you can manage up to 25 Instant On devices per site. And then from a user perspective, Instant On is targeted for our small businesses. And what Aruba considers small businesses is 99 users and less. So to do some even more math, if you're keeping up with me, Aruba tends to consider one user having around 5 devices. So we can generally support at a fully deployed Aruba Instant On network with 25 APs, roughly around 500 or so devices. So scalability is pretty huge, again, with no licensing at all. So you get the benefits of being cloud managed, which is an absolute huge win. So again, why Aruba Instant On? Well, one, we want to make sure it's as simple as possible for you to get these devices up and running. So you don't have to be a network guru or a network engineer to get these devices working. They will be up and running in just a matter of minutes. With great built-in security, right? We don't want the path of least resistance to be the password written on a chalkboard. We want to make sure that we offer proper security so that we're able to get these devices up and running as quickly as possible, but also so that you can be ensured that your devices, when they connect, are secure like they're supposed to be. We have great performance. You know, all these features that I just talked about with Instant On are absolutely wonderful. But at the end of the day, if the devices don't stay up and running and they're not reliable, it doesn't matter what features I talk about. We want to make sure that these devices not only perform like they're supposed to, but they are as reliable as they are supposed to be, right? We want to do 5 nines of uptime where you don't have to worry about rebooting an access point in order to get these devices working reliably. They want to be running all the time to make sure your business is running all the time. No hidden fees. Everything is built into the cost of the hardware itself. You don't have to worry about paying a licensing fee. You don't have to worry about paying a subscription fee. Everything is included and built into the total cost of the hardware. So it lowers that total cost of ownership for you, and you don't have to worry about any fees. And again, if you've never heard of Aruba, I highly recommend you taking a look. ArubaInstantOn.com is our website. You can definitely check us out as far as getting more information around Instant On. And really the idea here is that we really do believe that we can produce a great wireless network for you. And that's one reason why I absolutely love the way Gartner takes a look at us as an industry perspective is Gartner has recognized us as a market leader for 14 years in a row. And the way they do that is they validate our what we say by contacting our customers and verifying with them that everything that we have said, we have done. And it is absolutely awesome that we can say that today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into the demo. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Jason, we actually do have some questions here in the chat. I don't know if you want to bring them up or I can read them out to you.
It looks like there's quite a few questions. Yeah, go ahead and read them out for me. That would be great.
All right, the first one is from Tom. He's asking if there's an option to extend the warranty beyond the 1 year and beyond the 90-day for phone support.
Yes, so for our access points, we have the ability of extending that out for 3 years in total on a per access point basis, and that would give you three years of phone support as well as 3-year hardware replacement, next business day hardware replacement. For our switches, we can extend that out actually to 5 years, so 3 and 5 years for those.
Perfect. The next one comes from Peter. He's asking, how long will I be able to apply updated firmware?
For the lifetime of the product. So, generally what that means is 5 years after our end of sale date. So generally, product life cycles can vary based off of the deployment, but we tend to do end of sale or end of support 5 years after the end of sale date. So pretty long time.
Perfect, thank you. So another one comes from Leonard, and this might be more for product management, but he's asking if it has multi-factor authentication, and if not, if we can expect to see that.
Yeah, so multi-factor authentication is currently not available today, but it is something that we have been looking into. As far as a roadmap on the ETA of that, I unfortunately, I don't have that information right now, but it is something that we're definitely looking into.
Perfect. Regarding Wi-Fi 6 for an outdoor device, any idea if that's on the roadmap?
So not that I've seen to bring out Wi-Fi 6 to outdoor environments. It really just depends on the deployment, whether Wi-Fi 6 would make sense outdoors versus indoors. You tend to deal with more longer range deployments outside and those kind of things. Wi-Fi 6 only offers about a 15 to 20% speed advantage in a properly, deployed network. So if it's speed that you're after for an outdoor deployment, Wi-Fi 6 probably isn't going to get you where you need to go. It's really for client density, and if you're dealing with large outdoor client, activities where there might be more than 300 or 400 devices, then we may need to look at, other offerings that we have in the Aruba line.
Perfect. And one more before we jump into the demo. Is there an API to get info about connected clients? If so, is it accessible via local endpoint or only cloud?
All of the information is only accessible through the web portal or through the application. There's no API to hook into that you'd be able to pull that information down locally. So we are, again, almost similar to the previous answer about multi-factor authentication. We are looking at other options, especially for our customers that are more MSP focused, to get that information, locally or manageable. So there potentially could be something coming, but again, no ETA on when that will be available.
Perfect. I think let's jump into the demo.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. So what we're going to be doing today for the demo is really just a quick setup of the access point itself. I have an AP22 right here. This might give you a little bit of scale on size. This is my hand right behind it. I don't have a massive hand, so that should provide some kind of scalability for you. And on your screen, you should be seeing my phone screen that I have. And this is the first screen you would see after signing up for an Aruba Instant On account. And it's going to ask you if you want to set up a brand new site. I'm going to go ahead and tap continue at the bottom. And now it's asking what we're going to be setting up. So this goes back to that common workflow that I was talking about. Based off of what we're setting up today, determines how the next steps are going to be associated with that setup process. We're just setting up an access point. So I'm going to go ahead and tap continue. Now, our access points have the ability of running like a traditional access point, meaning it's connected to a power over Ethernet switch. It also has the ability of, that switch is connected to a router, which is then connected to the internet, but we also have the ability of connecting our access point directly to an internet gateway, like a cable modem or a DSL modem, to act like a router. So in smaller networks where you don't need, high advanced features of a traditional based router, and you're just looking for a simple solution, the Instant On access point can be plugged directly into the network, into the gateway to do that. And as you select the option, it changes based off of that. We're going to be selecting that option today. I'm going to go ahead and tap continue. It's verifying that it's plugged in, and I already did my pre-TV magic and plugged it in already. And then it's verifying that it's blinking amber and green, which I will show on the camera if you guys can see it, that it is blinking amber and green right now, which means that it is in setup mode. So it's broadcasting that Bluetooth signal that we can try to find the devices. Now my phone's going to reach out with its Bluetooth radio to find access points on the network. And this just takes a matter of a few seconds to get it up and running. And the benefit of this is it makes deployment significantly easier. In fact, once you have one access point deployed onto the network, this process can actually deploy the rest of your Instant On devices all in one shot. So if you have one device configured and up and running, you can plug in 20 more access points and add those on, and you can add all 20 at the same time. And since everything shares the same unified configuration, per site, you don't have to worry about manually configuring each individual access point separately. It just gets added onto that site and configuration is shared across the board. I'm going to select add device. I'm going to name this network demo, and I'm going to give it a password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure I didn't type that in wrong. I'm going to tap continue. I'm going to leave the region as United States and the site name as demo site. And then I'm going to select show it to me. And now what the access point is doing is it's getting all the information we just provisioned it with, and then it's going to be rebooting. In just a matter of a few minutes, the access point is going to be broadcasting wireless for devices to be connected. So it happens extremely quickly to get you from taking the access point out of the box, powered up and plugged in, to actually servicing your clients with Wi-Fi. So I know that we're at the end, towards the end of the session. Were there any other questions that popped up before we close out?
There was one from Peter, which I believe I answered him, but he was just asking if he contacted, well, not if he contacted, but would the Aruba tech support have access to his audit log for his instance?
Yes, so if you have an issue that needs to be resolved, TAC can log in and look at all of everything behind the scenes, essentially, of what's going on. And they can provide information as well as adjust configuration if needed based off of your deployment specifically. They sure can.
Okay, perfect. And maybe I should open it up to anybody else if they have any other questions. So follow-up question from Peter, would they have access to it without him asking them to? His audit logs or his instance, or would he be alerted if they log in?
If TAC has no way of logging into your physical devices unless you allow initiation of a remote session to happen. They'd actually have to request a token from you in order to log into your devices. So for security reasons, we don't allow that to happen, right? And for those that are, as far as from a security perspective, we want to make sure privacy is at the utmost importance. In fact, we have all of our privacy and cloud information of what we hold, information we do have access to, all on the ArubaInstantOn.com website. Since we have to meet like GDPR requirements and those kind of things, everything is listed on that website. So if you have concerns from a privacy perspective, take a look at the website. Again, our parent company, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Aruba has been doing Wi-Fi for a long time. We want to make sure security is of the utmost importance with privacy.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jason, and thank you everyone else for attending. And just to let you guys know, we are offering $25 gift cards for the first 10 people to register for this event that actually stay to the end. So we'll announce those via email shortly after the presentation. And also there's an AP22 up for grabs that we'll be auctioning off to everyone that stayed on. So I definitely appreciate everybody's time this morning, and Jason did a great job. Thank you so much. Hopefully it was as useful to everyone as I thought it was.
I hope so as well. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care.